to do on YouTube, Samuel.
And welcome to Light Years. Andy, my man, we are watching the Lakers and Clippers in a barn burner. The team the Warriors destroyed in 3 quarters, potentially going to beat the team that is going to destroy the Warriors come May. I don't know, man. I love early NBA season because it's like overreaction central, you know? Like I said, the Clippers are trash. Where are you at, my man?
Look, it's obvious to me that Kawhi Leonard is not ready to play live basketball. It's kind of like Klay Thompson and Draymond, right? Those guys aren't really ready to play live basketball. My feedback, Sam, is that do we expect those guys, especially Kawhi, to be able to play 100-plus games? That's my feedback watching this specific game itself. What it says to me is the Warriors are in a pretty good place in the entire NBA, considering what I've watched so far in 3 nights of the NBA.
Yeah. Just so we're clear, we are live on YouTube. We're reacting to kind of the general NBA we've seen so far. We will discuss a certain NFL trade in maybe 10 or so minutes. But I want to kind of get to this with you, Andy. So we've watched every team in the NBA play at least opening night. And my question to you is, what is your biggest take from opening night? Could be anything. Could be like, wow, I didn't think this team was that bad, or wow, that team's way better than I thought, or wow, just Steph's the GOAT.
Yeah, Steph's the GOAT. That's a forever take. One take for you. I was very high on this team and thought if the Warriors weren't going to come out of the West, it'd be this team. I was concerned about their defense, but I thought maybe some of their role players, maybe the MVP would be able to string together some solid enough defense. Sam, the Denver Nuggets might have a problem. They might have a bigger defensive problem than I thought.
It's over?
It's not over, but, whenever your best 3 offensive players, and they have some really good offensive players, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic, are your 3 worst defensive players, and they're going to be guarding Jokic, the pick-and-roll guy, every time. Michael Porter Jr. is probably guarding the second-best wing on most teams pretty good, and Jamal Murray's guarding a point guard. It's a problem, right? You can hide a bad defensive player at maybe the 1 or maybe the 3. You can't hide one at the 5. You can't hide all 3. So it's one game.
I thought that's what the Warriors did when they won titles. Steph couldn't guard anyone. KD didn't play defense. Didn't have any defenders on any position. Draymond, he's too small.
Sneaky Warriors' identity is that they always have the best defense in the NBA when it matters, right? Like that's the sneaky Warriors truth that nobody really thinks about. Look, I don't think the Nuggets suck, but I do think I don't know if they can win the championship. Just watching one game. I'm taking a step back. I was all in. Now I'm taking a step back.
You saw Kelly Olynyk put it on the floor against Jokic. You're like, I'm out.
How?
Yeah, you're like
Sexton.
You're like Mark Cuban on Shark Tank. You're like, and for this reason, I'm out. I've been watching a little too much CNBC. Sorry,
God, you got too much time on your hands.
I have no time on my hands, but somehow I have all the time in the world on my hands at the same time. That was a disgusting loss. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
I feel like the talk of the NBA opener, so like everyone playing the first game the first 2 days, is the Pelicans. They look better than I expected. Zion looked really good, but for me, Zion wasn't surprising. Like, I know what he can do if he's healthy. They looked like the first, this is going to be a hot take. They look like the first young team I could see that could actually dethrone the Warriors. I'm not saying it's happening this year. I'm saying I see a team with multiple multi-skill stars like Brandon Ingram, Zion. They got a guard who can shoot from everywhere, CJ McCollum, and they got like 6 wings who are like 25 and under who can guard everything, I see the makings of the team that in a couple years might be the team who finally makes the Warriors look old.
It might not be the Memphis Grizzlies. It might be the Pelicans. They have two dominant forces. I think Zion Williamson is at when we see Draymond have trouble
Paint
against
King.
players.
Yeah.
Well, we used to see Draymond have issues with Zach Randolph. That was 20 years ago now. But Zion Williamson is a roided version of Zach Randolph, right? It's just lefty bowling ball, way more explosive, but he's going right through you, and he's more powerful than Draymond maybe. So I think you're right. I mean, and then you want to get hipster, right? Trey Murphy's great shooter, Herb Jones, great defender, right? You go down the list, Alvarado, right? All those guys.
Larry Nance, glue
guy, yeah, huge, big hipster fan. I think you're right. So do you think then that's the team? It's not Memphis. It's not maybe it's not Denver, but that Pelicans team is a young team that's probably going to give the Warriors the most trouble in the next 2-3 years. That's your take after one game. I love it.
I think so. I think we're both aligned on we'll delete our accounts if Phoenix is actually the team who dethrones. It's not about Chris Paul. It's I just don't see it in any capacity that it could be a team like Phoenix. Denver, maybe, but I wasn't impressed with night one. I still think that there's something there, and I want to watch more of it. And the Clippers, they kind of are what they are. But for me, the interesting thing is the young teams, the Minnesota, Memphis, the New Orleans of the world. We don't know what they're going to be. They could be the team that dethrones the Warriors, or they could be they could be like the Lob City Clippers. They're cute, they're fun, and they never matter, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think at least through opening night, the Pelicans have my attention, and I don't know if it will last the whole year, but just looking at the confluence of they have all the pieces. It's a question of, are they going to be mature enough throughout the year? And is this going to be the moment? Because it's a very talented roster. That's where I'm at, man.
If Brandon Ingram is going to be a consistent shooter and happy with being a secondary creator after Zion, you're 100% there. Now, I think one pushback I have would be Brooklyn's an atrocious basketball team. That's a team that I tweeted this. That's a team that it's like you put a fantasy team together and then expect them to figure it out. Except in fantasy, you don't have to play defense. In fantasy, you look at stats. And I think Brooklyn, you put that team together and you're like, it's going to be cool if Kyrie and Ben Simmons have all individual great numbers. You put them together, none of those guys play defense. It's embarrassing. They have no chemistry. They have no cohesion. They look like they don't even enjoy playing with each other. They may win 48 games, 50 games. It's great, but that's a miserable construction of a team. And it reminds me of the Lakers who we're watching right now. It's a miserable construction of a basketball team that nobody in their right mind that wants to put a team I think of Boston and the Warriors, just good teams. Mm-hmm. That's not what Brooklyn is. And I think, maybe that helped Pelicans look a little bit better than what I think they probably should be. But, I mean, I'm with you. I also wasn't impressed too much by Minnesota, but I do want to give them a couple weeks. That's a team that I want to wait a couple weeks on.
I mean, we're giving everyone a couple weeks. We're just
no, not Denver. Not Denver.
It's over. Time to get on the trade market.
I don't know about
Time to trade Michael Porter Jr. to the Warriors.
Best
we can give you is Dante in a second.
I'm not high on it.
But I think he's really good. We should talk about. You mentioned the Brooklyn Nets, and my other overarching take on opening night is the player empowerment vibes teams trending downward, because it's like the Nets and the Lakers, they're uninterested in any sort of coaching or identity. It's just vibes all day, and if you're a basketball purist, like Steve Kerr, like Andy Liu, it bothers you that they just think they can just just play pickup ball and win that way. And I think if you think about the game that way, it's at least enjoyable to watch those teams just get destroyed by more cohesive units who at least make an effort to build a team and not just all right, give me the ball, we're vibing.
The Warriors played a pretty bad game. I know I missed the post-game show. Shout out to Aaron, by the way, who always comes in clutch for me when I'm either sick or hungover.
You're sick. Come on.
I was actually sick. I was doing pretty bad, but I'm great now. The Warriors played a C+ game, dude, but it just doesn't matter because they have the structure. Like it's they could go 10 guys deep and they can play defense and they can just not make open shots and it doesn't matter. They're gonna roll through the Lakers by 20. It's just right. That's what happens I think for teams like the Lakers and the Brooklyn. They need to play A games. The Lakers are gonna have to play an A+ game tonight to beat the Clippers, and honestly, the Clippers look like they're half asleep. It is what it is when you're a team like that is just a mishmash of players that.
How disrespectful is it that Robert Covington is like, I don't even need to be sober to play against you? like they have Terrence Mann is like, I'm texting about bottle service after the game, mid game. I don't think you're good. They're not even you are right. They're getting like a C+ effort from the Clippers. Kawhi's on a Klay Thompson minutes restriction.
Yeah, it's a complete joke. But that's what you get. That's what you get when you try to cheat the game of basketball, right? That's what you get. So not something that other Bay Area teams would ever do. All right, do we have other first takes, first reactions? You have any? I trying to think of some. I
have a million, and I also have zero. Like we can keep going with this, but we have a special guest.
Oh yes.
You know what's funny? My friend? We asked this man to come on. We thought it would be a casual Thursday. We didn't, it's like, hey, let's talk about who's going to play right guard this week. Let's get some broader thoughts on the Warriors and the Niners. And you know what? Friend of the show, Kyle Shanahan, was like, I need to give these guys content. So we got Grant Cohn here. Everyone listening to this should be aware the Niners have traded for Christian McCaffrey. Grant, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. It's nice to have something to talk about for a change other than Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm having a good time. Christian McCaffrey, he's great, right? Such a good move.
Are we ready for the Niners' strategy was instead of getting a quarterback, we're going to get every possible player who can bust open a 2-yard screen and just like see if we can win a Super Bowl that way.
Yeah, we thought they were trading for Trey Lance, the quarterback, but no, they wanted him to be a running back, and now that he's hurt, they needed to get another running back. My question is, like, seriously, how does Christian McCaffrey make the 49ers better? Like, don't they have a bunch of guys who can catch the ball in the flat and gain 8 yards after the catch? I mean, nothing against Christian McCaffrey, but, like, they have that. How many checkdowns can you throw in a game? I don't know. Maybe
You
more.
can always throw more.
More.
I mean, more.
Yeah.
There's always. Yeah. I saw the clip of Jimmy. Today throwing on the run. I mean, it looked like Jimmy throwing on the run.
Yeah, more checkdowns after that. It's fair. They're gonna set a record.
They gave away a second, third, fourth, fifth, right, and another fifth. So next draft there's gonna be no picks.
No picks.
No. I was curious about this. Let's say, for example,
big draft guru Grant and Andy.
Right? Yeah. I'm a big NFL. I knew Aaron Banks was going to be a good pick. I knew.
Yeah, you called that.
Yeah.
Bay Area guy.
Yeah. Is he?
Alameda.
Shit. Well,
yeah.
You knew that.
Yeah.
I would be very excited for this trade if Trey Lance was the quarterback. Can you imagine if Trey Lance was the guy that was faking a handoff and running up the middle on second and like it would be fantastic. But like on a serious note, though,
not accounting for veteran leadership.
The problem is that Trey Lance is hurt and that Christian McCaffrey's probably going to be hurt by November. But I'm sorry. Other than that, if the Niners could keep any of their players hurt, I'd be juiced. But like they can't. So what's up with Christian? Is he going to be here on the team in December? If he is, great.
Does this feel desperate to you?
Yeah. I mean, like panic, desperation. I mean, basically it's an admission that like, okay, the offense wasn't going to get it done. Why? You have Debo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. You spent on Ray McCloud. Like, was talent the issue? You needed another check down guy. You got a good running back. I just think
I think talent is an issue on the offense, but not from that perspective. It's like you want
weapons or at the offensive line.
You can go across the board on it. George Kittle does not look like the George Kittle who got paid.
That's true. That's true.
The offensive line is not amazing. We don't need to go through the quarterback thing.
What's your opinion of Christian McCaffrey, though? I mean, he's been hurt a lot. What do you think of him?
Perfect Niner. Perfect Niner. Are we playing on turf anytime soon? Are the Niners playing on turf anytime soon?
Is SoFi turf? Yeah.
Well, I guess CMC plays on turf, right? So I guess
he's hardened by it. Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't be my number one option for them to trade for, but he is objectively a talent upgrade to a team who's kind of stale on offense. Like, let's take a step back on that one. They're stale. They're at the most basic level. It's not working. And
so Christian McCaffrey's he's gonna fix it. He's gonna fix it.
So I mean, the question is, why is it stale? The question is, why do you think? Because I agree. It is kind of the same old stuff every week. So your thoughts? Why is the offense so, I don't know, boring?
I think it's that Kyle is a scheme coach and that his scheme has been figured out to a little bit. I mean, his scheme is heavily dependent on pre-snap motion. He does it like 90% of the time. The rest of the league does it 50% of the time. And his whole thing is like, if I move pre-snap, then your defense will try to communicate and adjust and change calls. And if I do it enough, you'll have enough miscommunications that it will result in big plays in the ground through the air. Mm-hmm. And it's true. It's right. It's proven. But I think what defenses have figured out is like, okay, he wants us to make these calls. Like, let's just line up and play and live with it. And so you're seeing like less of an advantage with these pre-snap motions. And so now you're seeing just a really vanilla offense. That's it.
Do you think that's true? Do you think that's true of let's call it his disciples? Because like Kyle's biggest calling card is, all right, you don't think I'm a good coach? Why does everyone hire my assistants? And why do they all run kind of just
monsters?
No one leans into the pre-snap motion like Kyle. It is his baby. He does it 90% of the time. The rest of the league does it like 50. But yeah, I mean, he does coach as well. He does have a nice tree, but in terms of his scheme, which is different than McVay's and LaFleur's, it seems like McVay had his own gimmick. McVay's gimmick was 3 wide receivers in the jet sweep, and that's going to sort of mask that his run game is super vanilla. Once people figured out that he's a run first guy and he had like 3 blocking combinations, he hasn't been able to run the ball in like 3 years. I feel like Kyle's getting to that point where people are like, okay, so we just have to just like forget about the motion. And once you forget about the motion, he just has people like running around. It has no effect. It's wasting time.
Once you're not worried that Ray McCloud's going to beat
who cares?
Because the chance he beats you, they're still not going to complete the throw.
The one time
Jimmy makes the throw, he probably won't catch it. Yeah.
And it's all window dressing. Once you're done with all the shifts and motions, you know that the Niners are either going to toss left, toss right, throw a screen, or throw a slant. I mean, it's a very simple offense, so forget all that stuff. Just line up and play.
So let me ask you this. Is that a scheme issue or is that a talent issue? And then what I'm really getting at, is that a coaching issue or is that a GM issue?
I think it's a scheme issue. I think this offense is underperforming more than any offense in the league. Brandon Ayuk is really good. And Debo isn't maybe as good as he was last year, but he's still really good. And Kittle isn't what he used to be, but he's still one of the best tight ends in the league. Jeff Wilson Jr. had an off game. He's still good. And then you got Jordan Mason, who they won't even try. You got Kyle Juszczyk. There's way too much talent on this team for them to be getting 18 points a game. Kyle has to own this. He does. And there's another split that's interesting. So Kyle wants to be under center. He wants to be like old school with play action. They don't even do play action anymore from under center. They're averaging like 4.3 yards.
People have to buy. You're going to run the ball. So
yeah. So what do you want to do? So the Niners averaging 4.3 yards per play from under center and 6.7 from the shotgun. Like, just go to the shotgun. If it's work, what are you doing? So maybe they'll figure that out this week. I don't know.
Let me give you my theory on this one because I want to run this by you. I want to run this by you. I know Andy doesn't agree with me on this one. Or maybe he does. I don't know. I think Kyle has this ties to the Warriors because we've been critical of Steve Kerr on the show over the years. There's been years where he's had the best pick and roll point guard in the league basically his whole career, and he won't run him out of pick and roll.
That's right.
I would argue the difference here is the Warriors have an ownership group and a front office who will actually challenge their coach and ultimately fill in for his blind spots in a way that the Niners won't. Steve Kerr does not have veto power over the front office. Steve Kerr's not,
he's a 4-time champion.
He is, but he's also not more. He's also not more powerful than his GM, which is objectively true of the Niners. I mean, he might be, but. He doesn't have the point. Yeah. And is Kyle's blind spots more about ownership where maybe they love the fact that Grant Cohn is blaming Kyle and not ranting about Jed York instead. And they prefer to have the human shield than actually address the issue, which is, well, he's a good coach. He's not superhuman. And maybe, just maybe, we should hire a real front office who's willing to be like, dude, we're not going to draft an 8th running back in the 3rd round that you're going to cut after week 3.
Well, look, I criticize you. We criticize Kyle Shanahan, but most people don't. Like locally, he's untouchable, and nationally, he's untouchable. And I think Jed loves that because he got so much flack after firing Harbaugh and then going to Tom Sula and Chip Kelly. He was a laughingstock, and now no one makes fun of Jed anymore. Everyone's like, well, he got Kyle Shanahan, so he knows what he's doing. So I think Kyle Shanahan is basically taking advantage of that. He has no oversight. And Jed at some point has to step up and act more like Joe Lacob. Be like, dude, have some pride, man. He just traded 4 picks for another running back. He spent a 3rd round pick on a running back this year, didn't like him, gave him no chance, and now just spent next year's.
After taking 1 in the 3rd the year before.
Traded up for him, by the way. Traded up for him. Cut him.
I mean, it's comical. I feel like the rest of the country's looking at this like, well, that's a silly move. But around here, they're like, okay, Kyle did it, so it's probably going to be okay. Like, really, his track record is kind of spotty on this one. I don't know. Jed, how did Jed give this the okay? If I were Jed, I'd be like, no, you have running backs. Get a corner.
We left out the best part. A Stanford running back. Like, is there another, like, if they traded for, I don't know, Jonathan Taylor, who's a better player, right?
Yes.
It'd be like, ooh, that's a little too much. But because it's McCaffrey, like the golden child of the area, it's like we're gonna bring it back. We're gonna, it's gonna be like
we
the
can
Rose
sell
Bowl
it
all over again. Yeah,
we can sell it.
My take with Kyle is it's the Trey Lance stuff, because that actually is the most important. I don't mind the CMC trade. I can talk myself into anything, but the disgust that I've had is that you move up to make that trade for Trey Lance, which I thought was cool. You throw 3 first-round picks, whatever. You should have took that risk with Tom, or you should have took that risk with Stafford. But whatever. You learn your lesson. You said, hey, I'm going to go get a non-Kirk Cousins type player. So you move up. Then we hear all this shit about Mac Jones, who, by the way, is not even a better quarterback than Bailey Zappi. True. So all of a sudden, you go ahead and get this guy.
It's coming around from my guy, Mac.
Yeah. Trey Lance, who is totally different. Then he's not even RG3. RG3 was faster, played more games. He was maybe even a better thrower, honestly. This dude who we have no idea whether he's good or not. Then you sit his ass the entire year last season.
1 year. Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, waste 1 year, because you and I and Sam, I know you're a Kyle guy, but you know that they were not going to win the Super Bowl last year with Jimmy G. So you do that, and then you come in this year.
I was all in Green Bay, though.
Yeah, I was too. I was pretty happy.
The hand of God came down and blocked that punt. Sorry.
Man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
They own Green Bay, by the way. They own Green Bay. They own Aaron Rodgers. They should get Aaron Rodgers. They should.
They should look into that.
They should do that. And then you come in this year,
you
give Trey the job, but you also don't let Trey play quarterback. And that was when I was actually, like, all that stuff before, I didn't really care, because I was like, Kyle's cool. Like, he's made this team good. He brought him to the Super Bowl. But that was when I was out. That was when I was like, okay, you do all this stuff, then you change your mind, then you change your mind again, and then you say you can't play QB, you turn him into a running back. I don't care what you have to say, whether he got hurt or not, but you turn him into a running back, and now you're back to Jimmy, you're back to your ex-girlfriend who you didn't really like, and you're sitting.
Here's what I think happened, Andy. I think they overreacted to training camp. He had a rough training camp, but he was going up against Emmanuel Mosley, Travarius Ward, the best defense in the league. It would have been rough with Jimmy, too. Jimmy was over on the side field looking pretty. And I think Kyle just overreacted and was like, oh, we have to run him in the first few weeks to get his feet underneath him. That was dumb. Real quick, let's link this to the Warriors. You compared Kyle Shanahan to Steve Kerr. What about Mark Jackson? That's the way I see it. I mean, he changed the culture. He changed the culture. He did certain good things, but like his offense, what is your offense? I'm saying, I comparing him to Steve Kerr, I don't know if he's earned that yet.
I give him two differences here.
Okay.
No one's copying Mark Jackson's offense.
That's true. That's true.
Kyle's offense is pretty bad.
That's true. No, but Mike Malone got a job. Mike Malone got a job.
Okay,
he did.
That's you're pulling that one, and not for the offense. Just to be clear.
No.
That's true. I mean,
no. No.
I think
Just for
there's
doing
more stuff-
Mark Jackson's job without getting credit for it.
All I'm saying is like, look, and I don't really feel like criticizing Steve Kerr right now because the Warriors are in a good spot, but that's a lie because I'm going to do it. It's Steve Kerr unchecked would have had Jordan Poole gone.
Okay.
And he would, I don't know who they'd have running dribble handoffs instead of running Steph and Jordan Poole through pick and rolls. So, I mean, it goes without saying, even the brightest coaches, and he is a really smart championship and a Hall of Fame caliber coach, like you do benefit from having your power checked. And I don't know, just talking to someone in any way. And when I look at the Niners, it's a lot of, oh, Kyle, I thought you were a genius. I thought you could do everything on your own, do that sort of thing. And he's a good coach. There's a reason.
It's a bad organization.
Coaches, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's what
it's a
I'm
bad
back
organization.
To.
And they called him up like out of desperation. Like, please, Kyle, make us legit. Sorry. Yeah.
Which
No.
I mean, he did. Yeah. He got him. He
did,
to,
right?
It is.
Yeah,
it is kind of frustrating though watching because even last season they make the NFC Championship game, but it's like 3.
All I'm saying is, Grant, you've followed this team as long as I have.
Yeah.
They were a joke pretty much since Eddie D had moved on. I don't know. How do you want to describe it? Like his sister took over the team, whatever you want to say. And under the
Harbaugh years complicated things, but they had that, they messed it up, and then they went through some 2 dark years, and then Kyle
but
makes
if you want to go
relevant.
broader, basically, Denise takes over the team, and they are broadly a joke.
Yes.
Living off of the reputation of the standard of the NFL for 15 to 20 years, which they were. They were right. And I mean, it feels somewhat Lakers-ish in some ways where you're just like, they're living off the reputation. But at the end of it, like Kyle comes in and now it's all about Kyle. Now every credit to Kyle, every criticism to him, but we're ignoring the fact that, I don't know, none of you guys have proven you know how to do anything without him.
That's a good point. And it's not like – it's sort of like Chris Cohan hiring Steve Kerr. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's actually a much better analogy.
Yeah. Like, we suck, and so you do everything. It's like, okay, well, that may not work. But what's nice about the Warriors is that they're actually – it's a competent organization. Yeah.
By the way, Steve Kerr did used to run a team, and it didn't go well, by the way. He traded
was it the Knicks?
The Suns.
The
So
Suns.
He ran the Suns, right?
And he traded for Shaq.
Yeah. He may have been the guy who recommended. He may have been the guy who recommended Robert Sarver to the NBA.
Hey,
but
all right.
Talk about that. So
right.
Yikes!
But
Yikes! Hey, people change.
All I'm saying is, he's a Hall of Fame coach, not a Hall of Fame.
He found his niche. He found his spot. Yeah. His way.
This weekend, and I find this interesting because I love Harbaugh, and they're celebrating the Harbaugh thing against the team that they lost to in the Super Bowl, with 2 coaches that lost in the Super Bowl, which is hilarious because the Niners have been losers the entire my life. What era
it's your fault for not being as old as me.
Yeah, I never watched Joe or Steve. It's like a Warriors fan 20 years from now that's never watched.
You didn't watch Steve? How old are you?
I'm 31, but I didn't watch, like, I was young. Like, I didn't watch. Fair enough.
I'll let it slide.
He has a vague memory.
I'll let it slide. You're a Jeff Garcia guy.
He's being honest about it. He's not being like you and me
like
pretending we watched Joe and we were 6.
I did not see Joe. I missed it.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
I always do feel like Harbaugh has a better chokehold on the Niners fan base. Where if you had to ask Niners fans, and I saw you ran a poll, it just if you had to ask them, they're like Harbaugh. Like that's and the Kyle era is not over. Kyle could win a Super Bowl this year. Yeah, knock on wood.
He could.
But it's like they could.
Chris McCaffrey, so good.
I mean,
that first wheel route, man,
so good. Yeah.
That first wheel route that Jimmy overthrows, like
game changer. Oh my god,
he does the juice every game. It's gonna be fucking. I might punch a wall and break my hand, but
be careful.
Harbaugh feels like he resonated more with the fan base than Kyle, and I actually don't know why. I had some theories, but I want to hear your thoughts, whether that's true or not. Yeah,
because it doesn't seem fair because he didn't win the Super Bowl either. Like he had more sustained success, but ultimately he didn't get it done either.
And he was favored. He
was. They weren't prepared for that game. They went down big.
Flacco they lost to.
That first and goal was rough.
It was bad. So I think the way people feel is that he didn't deserve to get fired. he got that team taken from him. And until someone sort of outdoes him, it still feels like it's his team. So what's crazy is on Sunday, he's going to get the biggest ovation we can imagine. And if the Niners lose, Kyle's going to get booed. It's going to be a very dramatic day. I'm not saying the Niners are going to lose. They just might win. The Chiefs have no defense.
They're gonna lose.
They could lose. But that could happen. And I think it would amuse Jim Harbaugh. And I think it would really upset Kyle. It would upset me. So I'm looking forward to that.
You think Kyle's a little salty that they're
Yes.
doing it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's as simple as like fans aren't dumb. Jim,
Yeah.
like Harbaugh is not a better coach. He might not be a worse coach, but he's definitely not a better coach than Kyle Shanahan.
I agree.
But everyone knows he got a raw deal. Like he got let go for no reason.
He got a raw deal, straight up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
like we all know the Yorks love Kyle. So it just feels like, oh, he's not subjected to the same standards as that guy. It's not even that he's a better or a worse coach. It's just the double standard of it.
Yeah. And so
just
what
the
was Harbaugh's
general
biggest
humanity.
sin? That he was like eccentric or he was a jerk? Like, who cares? It's football. You're here to win, right? So what's the big deal?
I love Harbaugh. And by the way, he was a guy that moved to Colin Kaepernick, who's, if you're in the Bay Area, you love Cap. I love Cap. Like
His teams never were hurt. Cap never missed a game. Frank Gore was around. Vernon Davis was there. Like he's never like Kyle's figured it out here and there certain years. Harbaugh has success every year, every place he goes. Stanford, Michigan, the Niners. He doesn't have these down years.
A lot of line drives. A lot of
we had injuries. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't won a championship either. So really, what's the difference? But I don't know. I'm not saying that the Niners should bring back Harbaugh. If the Niners want to move on from Kyle Shanahan, I wouldn't bring back Harbaugh. I'd be more interested in someone like Ken Dorsey, someone like the next guy. Shout out Miramani.
Could have kept McDaniel. I don't know. Cody Pickett, maybe. Does he want to coach? Maybe.
Could have kept McDaniel. That's true.
Do you think the Niners are subjected to the standards they deserve? That's really where I'm coming down on this. Like I keep thinking the overarching everyone. Like I'm not asking you to call people out on this one. I'm coming from the standpoint of I grew up with the Niners being the gold standard of the Bay Area, and Steve Young was hated because he was not Joe Montana.
That's true.
Which is ridiculous, but that's probably going to be the Warriors point guard after Steph Curry. He's going to be subjected to the fact that he's not the greatest. And it feels like the Niners, and maybe it's an overarching Bay Area thing, they're just not subjected to kind of that standard of excellence in general. It's just kind of
the way I look at it is they were so irrelevant for so long when they were bad that locally and nationally, people just want the Niners to be relevant. People just want to talk about because they're like the flagship West Coast franchise. So they don't have to be great. And they know it. And I don't like it. And it's like Eddie D would have lost patience with Kyle a long time. He fired George Seifert. He fired freaking George Seifert. He had 2 rings. He would have lost patience with Kyle. But Jed, I think, is a little bit in that Jerry Jones mold where he's like, hey, can we just be talked about on the radio and on Sports Center? And as long as they're in the playoffs with Kyle Shanahan, they will be talked about. So I'd like to see him channel his Eddie D and get mad like he did with Harbaugh.
I don't think we've heard from Jed and I don't. No. What does he do? Outside of making the worst stadium that just is.
He spends his parents' money, and when it's time to spend something big, he has to ask them for permission, pretty much.
By the way, Sam, I hope we don't. Friend of the show, Kirk Lacob, who's a good dude. I hope Kirk doesn't go down that path. It seems like he's a lot more capable than old Jed.
Well, I will say that
paid his dues.
The fundamental difference is, Kirk's in the organization, and he's been making this, and who knows what it looks like
pretty good
in 10 years. But that's a fundamental difference between hostile takeover from a sibling, which is kind of the Niners thing. So,
he was at BNY Mellon. Like, hey, you want to run the 49ers? He was like, I'm 27. That sounds phenomenal. Let's do it.
I mean, objectively, that's a better job than I had at 27, so I can't blame him.
That's true.
Just calling it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like they pull me in this season where, I'm all in week 1. I'm like, hey, let's get in there. Trey Lance, then they play this weird game. Then Trey Lance comes and breaks his ankle the next game, and I'm out, right? Then they pull me back in because I'm like, this is the best defense in the NFL.
I'm
this might be
send
the best defense in 10 years.
Yep.
I'm gonna send Andy a clip of Trent Williams pull blocking and destroying someone in week 12. And he's like, I'm back in.
I'm back in. I love
That's
Trent.
That's
I
it.
love Trent.
Well, now they got Christian McCaffrey. Now they have the number 1 offense in the league.
I gotta be honest. Here's one I was thinking about. If Jimmy Garoppolo can't put up, we're not talking about winning games. We know Jimmy wins games, whatever that means. But if you can't put up numbers with the best defense in the NFL, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, the best tackle in the NFL, and then now the best running back when he's healthy in the NFL, or at least top 3 running back in the NFL.
Then you're
best
Mark Jackson.
white running back of all time. You know what I mean? What
does it say?
Fuck.
What does it say?
What are we doing here if you can't go 300 yards, 2 TDs, and no interceptions every game?
I mean, I expect him to do better, but what it means is that he's a scheme coach and that you can give him all the talent in the world, but he's still going to run his scheme the way he wants to run it. So, I don't know. I just want to see if they can keep Christian McCaffrey healthy the whole season. If they can do that, I'm not betting against him. But, I mean, we keep talking about the injuries with this team like it's going to take care of itself. It never does. Every week it's like 4 more guys. So, I just want to see him keep healthy.
I saw Matt Barrows write about how you don't get to talk to the doctors.
No.
That's true. You don't get to talk to any of the.
They're like, that's a better question for the training staff. I'm like, okay, we like to talk to the training staff. And they're like, no, you can't. And they're like, okay.
To be fair, I think that's across teams. Like the Warriors don't let anyone talk to Celebrini. They're all trying to hide their hidden secrets. So,
but
they want to just have one narrative, right? One voice.
It's
Coming
perfect.
from the coach.
If it works, that they have some sort of scientific secret, and if it doesn't work, you don't know. You didn't talk to him.
Hold on, but let's talk about it because let's take Jason Verrett for example, who I don't know if is he going to be on the roster or is he done?
They haven't activated him yet. They have until next Tuesday, so I don't know if he'll play this weekend.
So let's take him for example. He's someone that they got him when he was hurt, right? They bring him back. They bring him back too early. He gets burned. Then he goes back on the IO because he was hurt again, right? Because they brought him back too early. He has a great season.
Exactly.
He tears his ACL the next season. They bring him back again. And so he's back again, and he opened up his window last week, and then all of a sudden he has knee soreness, which to me is not a, oh no, Jason Verrett has, it's like, well, dude.
Part of the process.
What have you been doing that he can't even practice? He gets knee soreness after practice.
Yeah, it always seems like whatever like regimen this training staff has to like bring guys back is like doesn't work. It's either too fast and I don't know if it's their fault or the players aren't following the program. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem to be working. I don't know. It's a very strange team. It's just so funny. Like all week we're talking about, man, this injury issue and like why can't they fix it? And like then they go trade for an injury prone player. It's like, well, that's why. They don't care. They don't take the issue seriously at all.
How about your buddy Javon Kinlaw?
I'm gonna send you the propaganda in the morning. Are you ready for? Are you ready for the Stanford Niner like mixtapes that are about to come out?
Dude, that's enough. All I know is that UCLA's undefeated and Chip Kelly is making Jed York look stupid. So go check. Go Chip.
Did you go to UCLA?
Grant, appreciate you.
Oh man, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I've talked so much crap about Chip Kelly, but now I'm a big fan.
College coach,
baby. Yeah.
Grant, appreciate you.
This was a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Hey, is that the real DJ Fresh in the comment section?
Of course it is.
It might be.
Dude, I'm a big fan. He makes great mixtapes. Shout out DJ Fresh. DJ Fresh, DJ Fresh, DJ Fresh. All right, see you guys.